We've all been there. 1 second you're on your couch enjoying some quality anime when all of a sudden, some ridiculously good-looking food pops up on screen. I'm talking, this looked better than anything you've ever eaten in your entire life. I mean, just look at it. Real food just does not, cannot, and never will hit like that. Suddenly you're filled with a sense of existential dread because you will never experience the sensation of eating something so good that after the first bite you start hallucinating and your clothing literally explodes. Well, that ends today, my friend. Gone are the days of lamenting your non-anime existence. Gone are the days of running in front of trucks trying to get isekai'd. Why go into an anime to eat when you can have anime food from the comfort of your own home? Introducing Weeb Kitchen. Hi, I'm your host, Weeb Kitchen, and my mission is to bring the visual deliciousness of anime into reality so you can enjoy your favorite series without those pesky cravings. And to start things off today, we're going to be strategically tackling the widest array of shows possible by making the most generic form of sustenance known to anime. Ramen. It appears in virtually every anime in some form and is a beloved staple of the weeboo diet. Today I'm going to show you 2 different kinds of ramen you can make from the comfort of your own kitchen. A quick, easy version using instant ramen as a base and some easily obtainable ingredients that you should be able to find in any grocery store. Or a slightly more difficult version that still contains readily available ingredients but requires a bit more work. Both will ultimately satisfy even the most acute obsession with animated noodles from your beloved Chinese cartoons. But if you want to flex those culinary muscles a bit, I suggest you go with option B. Alright, name of the game here is simplicity. 5 ingredients, 15 minutes from pot to bowl. It's nothing fancy, but you don't always have time for fancy. So we're going to start with our protein. I'm using Spam because, obviously, Spam Chan is a shoo-in for Crunchyroll Awards Ludus Meat Product 2021.
First anime word for the year goes to
Spam from Hormel Foods! Whoa! And once you slice it, fry it, flip it, add a tablespoon of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 3 tablespoons of water. Reduce heat to low, and simmer till the glaze gets nice and thick.
Boy, that's a thick-ass boy!
You actually come out with something pretty impressive. Next, cook some soft-boiled eggs, 6 minutes in boiling water, cool in an ice bath, crack, peel, cut in half, set aside, then cook whatever instant ramen you have on hand, according to the instructions on the back of the package. In my case, S-tier chicken maruchan. Throw on your Spam, eggs, slice scallion with the Korean-style cutting technique, so I don't have to wash a knife and cutting board, corn, and nori. And ba-bam! That's ramen, baby! There you have it, folks. You can go about your Weeb business, or if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, why not try your hand at option B? Okay, things get a little trickier here since we're going to be making our own broth, our own noodles, and meat that doesn't come out of a can, along with 2, count 'em, 2 side dishes. We're going to start by breaking down a chicken. Make it do a little jig to loosen up those joints. Okay, that's enough of that. Wiggle the knife between the armpit joints and wings off. Slice the skin between the thighs and breasts. Pull the thighs outward until the femur pops out of the hip. Turn it over, cut around the oyster through the dislocated joint and through to the tail. Same for the other side, then flip it breast side up and peel the skin off, trying to keep it in one piece, cutting around the edges where necessary. Make a long incision along the breastbone, then follow the rib cage with your knife, cutting about halfway down the breast. Then just pull and the rest should peel right off. Same for the other side, then remove the tendies. This is about 6 GBP worth in today's market. Set the carcass aside so we can move on to the leg. Peel the skin off in one piece, flip it so the exposed bone is facing you. Make small cuts with the tip of the knife to scrape the meat off the bone. Wedge the knife under the bone and disconnect. Same for the drumstick side, then cut around the knee joint until it comes loose and bam! Boneless legs. Do the same for the other thigh, then arrange the bones into the emblem of the Axis order to honor our almighty goddess Aqua, and roast in the oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. Then clean the excess fat off the skins and lay them out on a tray lined with parchment, seasoned with a bit of salt, and roast for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. If they're still not crispy and golden brown, flip them and put them in for another 5 minutes until they can do this. Next, roughly cut a 1-inch knob of ginger, 3 scallions, and smash 4 cloves of garlic under the flat of your knife. Toss it all into a stock pot along with your roasted bones and fill with enough water to cover. Oh, and don't forget 4 dried shiitake mushrooms and 1 sheet of konbu. Then bring it up to a boil, reduce heat to a simmer, and let it go for 4 hours, periodically skimming scum off the top and adding water as needed. After 4 hours is up, strain through a mesh strainer and set aside. Next up is gyoza. Heat up a 1/4 cup of sake, mirin, soy sauce, along with 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and simmer for 10 minutes, then let it cool. Congratulations, you have teriyaki. Cut your chicken breast and half the leg meat into strips and put it through a meat grinder. Don't mind if I do. If you don't have a meat grinder, just go ham until chicken breast becomes chicken molecules. Now that you've splashed raw chicken all over your kitchen and face, thinly slice the remaining scallions, mince another knob of ginger and 3 cloves of garlic, which I lost the footage for, and add it all to your ground chicken along with 2 tablespoons of miso and 3 tablespoons of teriyaki and mix it with your stand mixer. Get it? Stand mixer? Next, we're going to make gyoza wrappers. Mix 2 cups of flour and half a teaspoon of salt with a half cup of boiled water until it starts to come together, adding water if needed. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can just mix it in a bowl with a fork, and when all the flour is incorporated, dump it out onto a table and knead for 5 minutes. Then roll it into a chunk, cover with a damp towel, and let it rest for 30 minutes. Once that's done, cut it in half, roll it out with a rolling pin, and run through the machine at the thickest setting, then laminate by folding it 3 times and run it through again. Then continue running it through the machine at progressively thinner settings until you reach the second to last setting. If you don't have a pasta machine, you can roll it out with a rolling pin, but it'll take much longer and you're probably going to end up with way fewer circles. Not to mention you won't be able to make the noodles later. Just get a pasta machine. I've got the fancy KitchenAid attachment, but the pleb version works fine too. Of course, you can always save yourself half an hour and buy wonton wrappers, but then you might as well just buy frozen gyozas, an instant ramen, which is actually really good, and then you'd have more time to watch anime, which, let's be honest, you definitely need. There are, what, like 80 Sekai anime this season? Not to mention Dr. Stone, Promised Neverland, Attack on Titan, Re:Zero, Mushoku Tensei. Oh my god, what a time to be alive. Dude, forget this cooking shit. I've been waiting for Log Horizon Season 3 for like 6 years. Why the hell would I waste my time making ramen?
No.
Just get a pasta machine. Anyways, next lay out the sheets, lightly dust with cornstarch, and cut out circles with a cookie cutter. Repeat this process and reuse the scraps until all the dough is gone. Now, lay your circles out and spoon a tablespoon of meat onto the center of each one. Then dip your finger in water and wet half the rims of the wrappers, and using a dry hand, fold the middle of the dry half onto the middle of the wet half and pinch together. Then pleat twice on both sides so you get a nice crescent shape. As you can see, this recipe makes a bit more than 1 serving, but it freezes really well and makes for a nice quick snack, so I like to stock up. Next, let's make the noodles. First, you're going to bake a cup of baking soda in the oven at 300 degrees for 1 hour. This turns the baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, into... Sodium carbonate is the French guy whose video I stole this from with gold. Once it's cooled down, mix 2 teaspoons of sodium carbonate and 2 teaspoons of salt into a half a cup of warm water. By the way, don't get that stuff on your skin. It's apparently not pleasant. Throw it in with 2 cups of flour, and same deal as the gyoza dough. Once it starts coming together, dump it out and knead away until everything sort of just kanamaris together and the damasi stop falling off. Then throw a damp towel over it and let it rest for 30 minutes before you whip out that pasta machine again. Cut that sucker in half, roll it out with your pin, thickest setting, run it through, laminate, repeat until it starts to look like a sheet of pasta, then roll it thinner and thinner until you get to the second last setting and cut it. Dust it with cornstarch and repeat with the other half. You should now have enough for 4 portions of noodles. Ramen noodles. Freshly made ramen noodles.
Oh my god!
Now let's cook the rest of the chicken. Low heat, oil in the pan, wings, and cover with a lid so they don't
Fly away! Sanzuno-ka butterfly away!
Let them cook for 20 minutes, flipping every so often to make sure they don't burn. Next, cook the thighs on medium heat for about 7 minutes until it's cooked through and golden brown on both sides. Then take them out and deglaze the pan with half a cup of your teriyaki. Then combine a tablespoon of cornstarch with 2 tablespoons of cold water and mix until all the clumps are gone. Then pour the mixture into your teriyaki and stir until it starts bubbling and thickens up. Then drop your chicken back into the sauce and turn them over to coat them. Plate those wangs, set aside the thighs, and drizzle some of that sauce over the top. Then sprinkle with a bit of sesame, and next we're cooking the gyoza. Once again, oil in a pan on medium heat, place the gyoza flat side down, let them get some color for a minute or two, then pour a quarter cup of water and cover with a lid so they steam for about 7 minutes. Then check for crispy gyoza butts and plate. If they're not crispy yet, just let them go for another minute or two with the lid off. Next, reheat a cup and a half of the stock and season with 2 tablespoons of teriyaki and 2 tablespoons of miso. For the miso, you're going to want to dissolve it in a little bit of broth with your chopsticks so you don't bite into a solid clump of miso later. Then get a pot of water boiling for blanching your freshly made ramen noodles for 2 minutes. Pour your broth in a bowl, strain your noodles, drop in the broth, top with the chicken, eggs, corn, dried seaweed, scallions, and chicken cracklings, and it's done! Whole chicken ramen. Probably not the most authentic, but it hits all my sweet spots. You got the springy noodles, the rich broth, the slightly sweet teriyaki glazed chicken, and the crunch on those chicken cracklings. Listen to that again in case you forgot. Not to mention both my go-to appetizers, wing, dumpling, noodle, the holy trinity of Asian comfort food. What more could you want? Now, where should we start? Probably with the appetizers. Mother of God. Hey, thanks for watching my first video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to press that like button. See you next time.